You're listening to the Privacy Casebook Diary.
And in each episode, we discuss and review a data protection case or matter.
We hope you enjoy the content we share.
And hopefully, you'll learn and grow together with us.
Hi, I'm Michael Mulholland and partner with Spencer West, and I specialise in data protection and AI laws.
And I'm Cristina from CVG Solutions, a data protection professional, and I do anything in connection with data protection, primarily working with small and medium-sized organizations, including charities. Now, today we are bringing an interesting case that has multiple aspects to it. It's not a UK case, but it's an Austrian case, which was represented by NOYB. So the first part of the case is that MS 365 Education, which is a particular software package that Microsoft offers and is widely used within schools, European schools, and it started to take effect, in particularly after COVID. But what this software does, it uses cookies in a way to track and use student data for Microsoft own purposes, and the schools and the Austrian Ministry of Education were totally unaware of this. So the Austrian Data Protection Authority, DSB, has actually ordered the deletion of this data because it's found that the collection and tracking of the data is actually illegal. So that's the first part of the case. There is then the second part of it, which is related to an access request that was submitted by a student to a school, but the school was not able to fulfill it because they couldn't access the data held by Microsoft. So when they approached Microsoft was, very quick to sort of say, we are the processor, nothing to do with us. You go back, so basically go back to the schools and the local authority. Now that doesn't ring well with me. So if we look at Article 28.3e, both of the UK and the EU GDPR, it clearly states, and I quote, taking into account the nature of the processing, assist the controller by appropriate technical and organizational measures insofar as this is possible for the fulfillment of the controller's obligation to respond to requests for exercising data subject rights. So Article 28 lists all of the obligation of the data processor, and 28.3e specifically says that the data processor needs to assist the controller in allowing the controller to fulfill their obligation with regards to subject access rights. So in my view, Microsoft, has breached that particular clause. What are your thoughts on that, Michael?
How I understood it was what the Data Protection Authority found was that they have set up the contractual terms to present here that like the schools as being the controller, but in effect, the reality is that it's Microsoft is the controller, and that's sort of evidenced by the fact that when they're making the sort of access request, that it couldn't be fully delivered because it's not within the gift of the schools what data Microsoft was processing, and they had no way of knowing because the policies say that they protect children's privacy, and in fact they were spying on the children. They were surveying them with the particular Microsoft cookies, and they said they wouldn't be using them for any sort of advertising. And there's Microsoft got a trust center, and it's like, you want to go and see what we do. These are our assurances, but the guys at none of your business, went behind the reality and did digging around and searching, and they found that no, there were these tracking cookies, and they were used for advertising, and we don't know much beyond that because Microsoft policies are so opaque. So so the findings was that it's difficult. Consent is difficult anyway, but in the context of children, there's a recital 38 of the GDPR, with particular care needs to be given to children. And so it should be children can't provide consent I think up to the age of 16, but it's the parents who've got to give consent. But how can you give consent to these cookies? You don't even know that they were being planted on your machine.
Yes. But in either case, it doesn't matter whether Microsoft is a data processor or a data controller when it comes to data subject access requests, because in either cases they need to make the data available. So it doesn't really matter in that respect. It's either they are the controller, so they have to make it available, or if they are the processor, then they have the responsibility to support the controller in responding to access requests. So they have to allow access or give the data either way. And from the DSB has found Microsoft was in violation of Article 15, which is the access right. So that again, so it's either they are either way they have to provide the data, but they also have to provide clear terms in terms of what they means when they use the data for their own purposes and who they're sharing it with, whether it's LinkedIn, OpenAI, etc. Now, one of the things that the Microsoft tried to do is that he says that their EU subsidiary is in Ireland and therefore in charge of the 365 products in Europe. But the DSB rejected the argument because it says that actually it's Microsoft US that is making the decision. So that was an interesting fact, almost like, nice try, Microsoft.
Yeah, it's going behind the veil, isn't it? So actually they're going under the bonnet of like a car, to stretch the metaphor and say, what's really going on here? Where does and it's a big, because we're all reliant on Microsoft or Google for most of our systems, our working systems. It's the same as in the school environment. Our students rely on, this product, and it's where the power lies. And
but
it's sort of a take it or leave it, isn't it? It's like, well, we'll tell you we're going to do something, but we're not doing it. We're not adhering to our promises. What are we going to do about it?
Yeah, but also the other thing is, if you are, as a data controller, you are. It doesn't matter what industry. You are responsible to provide, to comply with the principle of transparency, and also to inform your customers or users, about how you're using the data. So that's, your Article 13 and 14. But if you don't know how MS Office uses the data, then how can you be transparent? Do you see what I mean? It makes it impossible. Right. It's almost like a cascade effect, isn't it? And the point is that I have tried with some customers as well to query and question and things that I see in a Microsoft contract or data processing agreement, but it's a losing battle because you got this massive giant, you know what I mean, and a small charity or a business or a small business. There is this huge power imbalance. And then you have the situation of, well, this is what it is, take it or leave it. So the entire power sits within, Microsoft. And so, there's very little that a single business can do about it.
So there's supposed to be like the information requirements. So you're supposed to know, you just mentioned the transparency. So they're tracking, children are on there. So they track their what websites they go on, how long they're on using those websites, and sort of build up and behaviours. So they're building up a picture. We don't know how long they keep the data for, so 1 to 2 years or even longer. Do they acquire a profile of these students over many years? The transparency is not there, and you can start worrying about it a bit. But it's just there's nothing to say what and who they're disclosing it to and who they're sharing with, and I noticed that there wasn't a fine wasn't given this case.
No.
It's sort
They
of
were ordered to delete the data, but
yes.
they were not fined, from what I can tell.
Yes. So will this mean an updating the privacy notice requirements, or it's a bit? I suppose they'll just cease and desist. And get your house in order in terms of what you're saying and what you're doing.
Yes.
And I don't know if they've updated their policies in light of this, because I think this is October 25, so it's 3 or 4 months ago when the decision came out.
Yeah.
So, but more good work by NOYB, isn't it? It's
very good work. But and the other question that I sort of have, is just something to ponder really, is there are millions of people and businesses that are using the standard Microsoft 365 across Europe, UK included, and those businesses are unable to properly inform their customers, employee, sometimes volunteers, students, etc., depending on the kind of business. And providing that information is mandatory by law, but they can't do that because Microsoft is not telling them. So does that mean that actually by Microsoft not providing clear information to their commercial customers, so like me or you, etc., does that mean that using Microsoft 365 is therefore not compliant with EU and UK law?
No, it seems not. So there's certainly gaps because they're putting the tracking cookies on there. You're supposed to get consent for cookies, and you're supposed to have a heightened duty of care with regards to children. So they're quite serious, and also it's so widespread, as you say. So I know Teams is used in the UK certainly across schools for children in terms of managing their diaries and and for work. So it's a big issue, but it's good that there's a light is shone on this now, and I suppose this will develop because Microsoft just pride itself on promoting privacy, but then this undermines that.
But they're walking all over the law. Yes.
Okay.
Wow, it's an interesting discussion. That it kind of, because one of the things that you said earlier is that Microsoft in this scenario was a data controller, but then when I do a due diligence with my clients, and some of them use Microsoft, actually they are a data processor, and there is a data processing agreement as an addendum attached to the terms and conditions. So I wonder why in this scenario is different. Do you see what I mean? I don't get it.
Well, I think what NOYB was saying is that de facto Microsoft were the controller, but they want their cake and eat it. So they make decisions, they determine the purposes, and they say that they're just acting as a processor in the terms and conditions, but it doesn't reflect the reality, and it also makes compliance impossible as well with the GDPR. So there's quite a lot of major contradictions there.
Yes.
And when you do draft who's a data controller who's the processor. It's really important to get that right from the start. So this goes to
Absolutely.
the
Yeah.
fundamentals of the contract.
Yes, absolutely. And so now it makes me wonder whether I need to go and review my own contract
All the
with
business model,
Microsoft.
their entire business model is challenged by this.
Yes. Yeah, and also, you know, my client's contract with Microsoft. Yeah. Okay. So that it's quite quite a bit of a, you know, a bomb drop.
It's fun to watch it and see what the changes are made in light of this decision.
Yes.
Watch this
Wow.
space.
Well, excellent discussion. Thank you very much, Michael.
Thank you, Cristina.
And yeah, see you next time.
Next time, on to the next one. All right, thanks a lot.
Cheers. Thank you for listening.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.